Very good morning. You're watching News on the Hour on Saturday morning at 10. Comprehensive 1-hour bulletin where we bring you news from across the globe. Correspondents will also be joining us with all the latest news. We'll talk about the Afghanistan situation and its reigning medals in Paralympics for India. 15 in total and 2 more medals have been assured in badminton. All of that in detail. My name is Abhishek Mahajan. First up the headlines. In Tokyo Paralympics, India make a 1-2 finish in mixed 50-meter pistol. Manish Narwal wins gold. Singraj Adhana takes silver to take India's medal tally to 15 so far. 2 more medals assured as shuttler Suhas Alvai and Pramod Bhagat storm into the finals. Taliban claims that resistance in Panjshir Valley has fallen. Resistance leaders, however, deny the claim. Government formation process lingers on. Taliban had delayed the announcement to be made yesterday. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar meets the Croatian Prime Minister during his ongoing European tour. The leaders discuss Indo-Pacific, Afghanistan and counter-terrorism. EAM says the two countries share common positions on international issues. Dr. S. Jaishankar will be in Denmark later today. An English middle order and tail enders show resilience as the hosts take a significant first innings lead in the Oval Test. India steady in second innings will start day 3 trailing by 56 runs. Right, we'll begin with news from Tokyo Paralympics. Right, so today is another great day for India at the Tokyo Paralympics. India make a 1-2 finish in mixed 50 meters pistol event in shooting. The gold medal went to shooter Manish Narwal, who is just 19 years old. He shot a total of 218.2, which was a Paralympic record. And at the same time, Singraj Adhana also did exceptionally well to win silver medal by scoring a total of 216.7. And with this, India's medal tally has risen to 15 and 2 more medals have also been assured in badminton. So tremendous show by India in shooting, 2 more medals, bringing the tally to 15 in total in Tokyo Paralympics 2020. And these are the visuals we are showing you of the family of shooter Singraj Adhana. They celebrate his win in shooting P4 mixed 50-meter pistol SH1. And we all know Singraj Adhana, this is his second medal in Paralympics 2020. He had won a bronze in P1 men's 10-meter air pistol SH1 event just few days ago, and he has become a double Paralympic medalist now. And you see the visuals of his family celebrating his second medal of the tournament. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Manish Narwal and Singraj Adhana for their outstanding performances at the Tokyo Paralympics. Congratulating Manish Narwal, who is just 19 years old, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "Glory from the Tokyo Paralympics continues. Great accomplishment by the young and stupendously talented Manish Narwal. His winning the gold medal is a special moment for Indian sports. Congratulations to him. Best wishes for the coming times." And congratulating Singraj Adhana, the Prime Minister said, this is what he said: "The outstanding Singraj Adhana does it again. He wins yet another medal, this time in the mixed 50-meter pistol SH1 event. India rejoices due to his feat. Congrats to him, wishing him the very best for the future endeavors." And the families of Singraj Adhana and Manish Narwal are rejoicing. We'll show you the visuals of Singraj Adhana's family. This is his second medal of the tournament, and we all know he had won the first medal, bronze medal in P1 men's 10-meter air pistol SH1 event just few days ago.
इतनी खुशी है कि देश में नाम कर दिया कि ऐसा शहर है मेरा सिंगराज में बहुत खुश हूँ देश में नाम होगा मेरे बेटा को अब गोल्ड मेडल ले आया है देश का नाम किया मेरे बेटा ने मैं बहुत खुश हूँ
उसके लिए मैं बहुत खुश हूँ सारा परिवार ही हमारा दोनों मेडल है इंडिया के ही
Family reactions of Singraj Adhana. Moving further, Noida District Magistrate and para badminton player Suhas Yatiraj stormed into the finals of the Tokyo Paralympics today. Suhas, who has become the first civil servant from the country to represent India at the Tokyo Paralympics, won the men's singles SL4 semi-finals in straight games. The Indian shuttler defeated Freddy Setiawan of Indonesia 21-9, 21-15 to seal the match in 31 minutes. And also Indian para-badminton player Pramod Bhagat managed to win his match against Daisuke Fujihara of Japan. The local player in the men's singles semi-final of SL3 category. Just a short while ago, Pramod won the first game 21-11 in just 15 minutes. He won the second game 21-16 in just 21 minutes, and with this victory, Pramod has assured another medal for India in the Paralympics. Pramod will play his final match today itself. Right, my colleague Tapas Bhattacharya joins me on the phone line to give us more information on this. Good morning, Tapas. 15 medals already and 2 more are confirmed. That means 17 medals are assured. Singraj Adhana's second medal of the tournament, and Manish Narwal, who is just 19 years old, got gold. Tremendous run by the Indian athletes. Continue.
What a start of the day, Abhishek. That's 2 gold medals, not just medals, 2 gold medals, and many more to come. In fact, what we expect that in the badminton arena also, you remember you took an interview of the badminton players, the badminton para-athletes before they left for the Paralympics, and they sounded very confident, and they have lived so far up to their billing, and what a performance by Team India. If we were gushing about the performance of the athletes in the Tokyo Olympics, where they won 7 medals, these people have doubled the tally, and it is still counting. Manish Narwal and Singraj has made the country proud. 2 gold medals, and remember, both of them are through, they have got tremendous support from the government of India. In fact, they are from the top scheme. They have received a lot of help, and that actually augurs well, showcases once again the fact that the Indian government is quite strongly behind all these athletes, and they have been doing exceptionally well. In fact, for Manish Narwala, just giving you an example, he has more than 12 international exposure, foreign exposure, international competition he took part, and all that have been being provided by the government of India through its top scheme. Also, what we can understand is that financial assistance have also been provided to buy his air pistol equipment, and engagement of a personal coach by the government of India through its top scheme. And also Singraj, again on another huge potential that the government took note of, and he had more than 8 foreign international exposure competition where he was provided with the support. The national coaching camps were also been given where the sports science support system along with sports kits and ammunition were also provided by the government. So huge day for the country. We have been talking about the fact that Indian shooters and Indian badminton players are on the job, and so far they have made the country really proud, and it's just a start, and hopefully that medals will keep coming. Tomorrow is a big day where the gold medal matches will be taking place. We will have gold medal matches, especially in the badminton arena, where I took interview of the GM of Noida, Suha Delvai, who will be playing his final match tomorrow in the morning, quite early in the morning, and also around 5:30 a.m. And it is expected that he is also a strong contender. He has reached the final, so one medal is also there. Then Pramod Bhagat is also there. So we got a lot of medals coming in, and hopefully this is going to be a watershed moment in the history of Paralympic Games in the country, where
Indeed.
we will be rewriting history.
Indeed, it's a history, Tapas. But how do you see the growth from 1 medal in 2012 to 4 in Rio Paralympics 2016, and now we already have 15, 2 medals are already assured, 17 in total so far. A lot of credit goes to the athletes also, because if you look at the contingent also, we had sent a contingent of 19 in Rio Paralympics 2016,
Yes,
and now a
54.
contingent of 54, and like you said, support of the government has also been immense.
Huge, huge. I mean, you have to give credit to the Paralympic Committee of India, the way they have been, before the start of this particular, Paralympics. They had almost 4 medals. They not just bettered that, they have not just doubled that, they have quadrupled that, and it is expected that they are going to better all the records so far. Now, if you take a look at most of these athletes, they have a success story. They have a story of their own. Many of them have come through hardship. Many of them have gone through a lot of trouble, problems before they been picked up and were provided with the financial assistance. Now, here's the thing: is that when we talk about the normal athletes, they do get a lot of sponsorship from a lot of other companies. But when it comes to Paralympics, there are only a handful of you, apart from the governments who provide them incentives, and that is where a lot of private partnership needs to come in. These athletes have once again showcases the fact that they are, they have huge potential. So far, with the government support, we have always seen them practicing in JLM Stadium, the national capital, where they have been putting in their best efforts. And for the last 3 years, after the pandemic, lockdown was removed and they started practicing, they came out with flying colors, and that the numbers are staggering, and the numbers are absolutely staggering. The way they have come out. And they have, they've won their matches, or even if they have lost the matches, they've lost the matches to world #1 and given them a run for their money. So once again showcases the fact that we have the challenge, the wherewithal. It just require a nudge, proper guidance, and what better way from the Prime Minister himself when he calls up most of the athletes after their performance, not just winning the medal, not just after winning the gold medal, but even after they lose the match.
We have come a long way from 1 medal in 2012 to 4 I should say in 2016, and now 15 we have already got so far. Thank you, Tapas. Thank you for giving us your vital inputs. Now, news from Afghanistan. The fate of Afghanistan's Panjshir Valley, the final holdout against Taliban control, hangs in the balance. Taliban forces and Panjshir fighters have engaged in fierce clashes in the valley, with each side saying it had inflicted heavy casualties on the other side over the recent days of combat. Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid said that Taliban forces have entered Panjshir and taken control of some territory. However, a spokesman for the anti-Taliban National Resistance Front of Afghanistan said it had full control of all passes and entrances to the valley. The spokesman said NRFA forces had also killed large numbers of Taliban militants on 2 fronts since clashes first broke out earlier in the week. Meanwhile, Amrullah Saleh, former Vice President of Afghanistan and one of the resistance leaders against Taliban, has said that he's still there in the country. In a video message, Saleh said the reports concerning his escape from Afghanistan are totally baseless. He said that resistance will continue and he is in Afghanistan and defending it. And Panjshir Valley has been the only region to hold out against the Taliban following their takeover of Afghanistan. Ahmad Masood, the son of the late anti-Soviet resistance hero Ahmad Shah Massoud has established himself in Panjshir, leading a several thousand strong force comprised of militias and remnants of Afghan army and special forces units who are opposed to the Taliban. Massoud has called for a negotiated settlement with the Taliban but has said his forces will resist if the mountainous valley is attacked. And government formation process in Afghanistan lingers on. Taliban had delayed the announcement to be made yesterday. A government headed by Baradar under the spiritual guidance of Akhundzada is expected soon, but the Taliban are made up of different elements whose interests and priorities must be reconciled, which probably explains the delay in announcement of the government and its constituents. Meanwhile, UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said that Britain must deal with the new realities in Afghanistan as it seeks to secure the safe passage of UK nationals and Afghans who have worked for Britain. Raab's comments reflect the balance countries such as Britain and the United States are seeking to strike in the aftermath of Taliban's lightning victory and the collapse of the Western-backed government in Kabul. Western countries fear that a looming humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan and an economic collapse could create hundreds of thousands of refugees.
We're focused on adjusting to the new reality that we face in Afghanistan. There are two particular priorities. One is making sure we can continue the safe passage out of Afghanistan of British nationals and Afghans that work for us. That may be possible via Kabul airport in the near future. I've been to Qatar to discuss that. The other point, of course, is the wider international strategy.
And German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas has said Taliban would be measured by its actions rather than its words. Speaking to reporters on the sidelines of a meeting of EU foreign ministers in Slovenia, Maas said the composition of the new government would be an initial signal for the EU and it would depend on the Taliban whether Western countries would unfreeze access to development aid, which is different from unconditional humanitarian aid.
Cooperation with the Taliban on development aid will depend on how the situation in Afghanistan develops. In the coming days, we will get an initial signal from the composition of the government, which we can evaluate. And beyond that, it depends on the Taliban. There were in recent days many moderate remarks, but we do not want to measure the Taliban and this government by words, but by actions. And that will be decided in Afghanistan when and if we are ready to make aid available, which was given in the past.
And EU High Representative Josep Borrell echoed Maas's comments, saying certain conditions needed to be met before a financial relationship with the Taliban could be established.
We are ready to help on the conditions. Our engagement is a condition-based engagement, not for the humanitarian help. Humanitarian help is unconditional, but in order to have financial relationships, certainly there are conditions that has to be met, and these are the list of conditions in which we will calibrate the answer of the new government.
And European Union officials on Friday listed a set of conditions for defining the EU's level of engagement with the Taliban as the new rulers of Afghanistan, including respect for human rights and the rule of law. And US Secretary of State Antony Blinken will travel to Qatar on Sunday to meet with the country's leaders and thank them for their help during the evacuation from Afghanistan. Blinken told a news conference at the State Department he would meet with Afghans and workers in the Qatari capital, Doha. Blinken said the State Department was in constant contact with Americans remaining in Afghanistan who still wish to leave the country.
We're in constant contact with Americans who remain in Afghanistan and may still wish to leave. We continue to maintain channels of communication with the Taliban on issues that are important to us, starting with the commitment to let people leave Afghanistan should they choose to do so.
And Blinken will also visit Germany to lead a virtual 20-nation ministerial meeting on Afghanistan. Alongside German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas, Blinken will also meet Afghans at the Ramstein Air Base in Germany.
Our diplomacy with allies and partners continues to intensify. That diplomacy has already produced a statement signed by more than 100 countries and a UN Security Council resolution that makes clear the international community's expectations of a Taliban-led government, including freedom of travel, making good on its commitments on counterterrorism, upholding the basic rights of Afghans, including women and minorities, and forming an inclusive government and rejecting reprisals.
And a major humanitarian crisis is looming in Afghanistan. The UN Refugee Agency UNHCR warned again on Friday amid ongoing uncertainty about the situation for vulnerable Afghans seeking shelter across the country's borders. UNHCR spokesperson Babar Baloch said the reality is the displacement crisis is inside Afghanistan, with more than 600,000 Afghans displaced this year, 80% of which are women and children. Meanwhile, to address the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan, the United Nations announced a major fundraising conference. The conference will advocate for a swift scale-up in funding so the life-saving humanitarian operation can continue. The UN, in a statement, has appealed for full and unimpeded humanitarian access to make sure Afghans continue to get the essential services they need. The conference will take place in Geneva on 13th September. And the United Arab Emirates has sent a plane carrying urgent medical and food aid to Afghanistan. The aid flight landed nearly 3 weeks after the Taliban took over the control of the country. The UAE Foreign Ministry confirmed that this was the first UAE aid flight since the recent events in Afghanistan. As international powers call for the Taliban to grant free access to humanitarian aid, Qatar is working to facilitate the opening of humanitarian corridors to get aid into the country. And UAE was one of the only 3 countries in the world to recognize the Taliban during its previous rule between 1996 and 2001. Right, my colleague Ravi Dhiman joins us to give us more information on this. Ravi, first of all, if you talk about the formation of new Afghan government by the Taliban, which was to be announced on Friday, yesterday, it has been delayed by a day. Consultations are almost finalized for the new government, and the necessary discussions have also been held about the cabinet. What updates can you give us?
Yesterday, according to Reuters, who had quoted Taliban sources, everything was set for the government formation in Afghanistan. Mullah Baradar, who was the co-founder of the Taliban, was all set to lead the government there, and guided by some other tall leaders from the Taliban, like the son of Mullah Umar, the founder of Taliban, Mullah Yaqub, and Sher Mohammad Abbas Tanizai, and others, including one representative of the Afghani network. But by the time it was evening and everyone was waiting for a formal announcement, came the news that Taliban has postponed the event for a single day. There could be some preparational problems or some other issues that could have delayed the announcement by one day. They're all set to announce their government, and they are modeling the government structure on the lines that we see in Iran, with Habibullah Akhundzada, who is the supreme commander of the Taliban, will remain the supreme commander of the country, overarching leader, and all the other leaders, including Mullah Baradar, will work under him, but he'll have no hand in day-to-day functioning of the government, which will be left to the government headed by Mullah Baradar. But it remains to be seen what is the decision they make today, and whether they announce a formal government formation today, and which takes place and then tries to put the administration machinery in motion and bring some order in Afghanistan, where right now utter chaos prevails.
Right, Ravi, but if we see the bigger picture, what should be the immediate priority of the new government? Maybe to stave off the collapse of an economy, grappling with drought and the ravages of the conflict, and we also saw UAE sending the aid to Kabul.
Well, Taliban has made its priorities pretty clear. They are more intent on capturing Panjshir. They have sent their fighters there. The fighting is going on even as there is utter chaos and humanitarian crisis, as we just told in our story to the viewers, that is unfolding in other parts of Afghanistan. Ever since the Taliban made rapid advances and it was clear that they will regain Kabul, the economy has really gone in a downward spiral. The Afghani currency, Afghani, has been losing momentum regularly, and the entire economic machinery is in doldrums. Afghanistan, the biggest crisis that the country faces today is that of economy. The unemployment level is quite high, and 1 in 3 Afghans is in danger of, going hungry. And the medical aids are drying up, the financial aid is drying up. What Taliban needs as an urgent priority to get the administration going at least is financial aid, but that will depend on their behavior. That will depend on whether they walk the talk and their deeds match their words in respecting the human rights, in respecting the rights of women and children, opening up the economy for them, letting the girl child go to a school, and refraining from any reprisal actions against those who collaborated or worked under the US forces or NATO allies. That will depend, their action in these spheres will speak a lot about their intentions in coming days. And only then the Western nations and the Bretton Woods institutions like the World Bank would open up their coffers to them, give them some financial aid, which they desperately need. Taliban, when they came to power, they had stopped export-import from India. India is a very big market for Afghanistan's dry food products, and by removing import or creating hurdles in import.
Right, Ravi, last question before we end this here. Last question before we end this here. If you can give us an update on the Panjshir Valley, but the fighting there is reported to have left hundreds dead.
Panjshir Valley is a very difficult valley to conquer for anyone who's new to the area. The Russians found it out when they attacked the Panjshir Valley 9 times, and each time they went back with heavy losses of men and material. Panjshir Valley has remained independent of the rulers. Now, Taliban is a country of warlords. Taliban is not a cohesive nation. It's a country of warlords, and each and every one, a warlord has commands some influence over his area. Panjshir Valley has been independent. The leaders of Panjshir, if you recall, Ahmad Shah Massoud, they never laid down their arms against Soviets or the Taliban also. And right before the 9/11 attack, Al-Qaeda got Ahmad Shah Massoud killed in a suicide attack by men posing as journalists. Panjshir Valley is a difficult terrain. Panjshir Valley has been surrounded by Taliban fighters from all sides, and they have also cut the supply lines. So that will make life a little bit more difficult for the Northern Alliance fighters. But nothing can be said as of now what the result will be.
Difficult situation. Right, Ravi, we'll leave it here. Thank you for giving us your vital inputs. In Afghanistan, for a change, the capital city was echoed with claps and cheers as near full house turned out to watch Afghanistan's top cricketers play in a trial match. On Friday, it was the first cricket match played in Kabul since the Taliban captured the capital on August 15th. Some of the players participating in the game are also expected to take part in the 2020 World Cup in UAE and Oman from October 17th. While cricket in Afghanistan was barely known until early 20s, the national team is now ranking among the top 10 sides in the world. In the last 20 years, cricket has emerged as a powerful symbol of national unity in a country driven by war and conflict. While on Friday match, fans waved Afghan and Taliban flags side by side, displaying a show of national solidarity. However, the Taliban have yet to name a government since they swept back into power. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a telephonic conversation with Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan on Friday. The two leaders positively assessed the continued progress in bilateral cooperation in various areas under the India-UAE Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. Prime Minister appreciated UAE's support for the Indian community during the COVID-19 pandemic. He also conveyed best wishes for Expo 2020 to be held in Dubai from October 1st. Both leaders also discussed regional issues of common concern. They agreed that there is no place for terrorism and extremism in the world and stressed the importance of international community standing together against such forces. Right, we'll slip into a very short break. On the other side, more stories, don't go away.
Namaste land. Marhaban ila al-Hind.
India.
Ni hao.
Salam India.
Namaste India.
Namaskar Bharata.
نحن هنود
India.
ما هندي هستي
Hindian.
Salam Hindustan.
We are India.
Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in all Southeast Asian countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now.
Welcome back after the break and moving on to our next story, which is COVID-19 situation from across the country. In the last 24 hours, 36,385 patients have recovered from the virus. So far, over 3 crore 21 lakh patients have recovered across the country we are talking about. India's recovery rate stands at 97.43%, and the country reported 42,618 new cases in the last 24 hours. The active caseload now stands at 4,05,681, and active cases presently constitute 1.23% of the country's total positive cases. And talking about the weekly positivity rate, which continues to be below 3% for the last 71 days and is now at 2.63%. And daily positivity rate is currently at 2.50%. And talking about the testing capacity across the country, it has been ramped up. More than 52.82 crore COVID tests have been conducted so far. The total tests that we are talking about, and 36,385 recoveries, like we told you, in the last 24 hours. And India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 67.72 crore, and cumulatively 67 crore 72 lakh 11,205 beneficiaries have been vaccinated so far. More than 58.85 lakh vaccine doses have been administered on Friday. And Health and Family Welfare Minister Mansukh Mandavia will be visiting Rome, Italy today. His visit to Italy will be until 7th September. The Union Health Minister will attend the G20 Health Ministers meeting. The crucial G20 Health Ministers meeting comes at a time when the world is going through a very difficult phase due to unprecedented health crisis in the form of COVID-19. And on Friday, India discussed challenges and opportunities during the COVID-19 pandemic during the BRICS Digital Health Summit, elaborating on India's national digital health blueprint as an overarching architectural framework for digital initiatives in India. She said NDHM will streamline digital health and through the issue of unique health ID create a single source of truth for facilities and practitioners. Dr. Pawar highlighted that BRICS Digital Health Platform is the need of the hour. It will provide a repository of evidence-based policy making. BRICS Digital Health Declaration has been adopted. Minister of State for External Affairs Meenakshi Lekhi is on a 6-day official visit to Colombia and New York. This is her first visit as the Minister of State. Ambassador of India to United Nations T.S. Tirumurti received the minister at the New York. And Minister of State has tweeted Meenakshi Lekhi on her arrival, and I quote, "Pleasure connecting with Ambassador of India to United Nations T.S. Tirumurti. Looking forward to my engagements at New York," unquote. And during her visit to Colombia from 4th to 6th, Minister of State External Affairs Meenakshi Lekhi will call on the top leadership of Colombia and also hold bilateral discussions with Vice President and Foreign Minister of Colombia Marta Lucia Ramirez. Both leaders will exchange views on regional and international issues of mutual interest. She will also be interacting with leading Indian and Colombian companies and the Indian community residing in the country. Meenakshi Lekhi's Colombia visit would provide an opportunity to review progress in the bilateral relations and further expand and strengthen this important partnership. And during her visit to New York from 7th to 9th, the Minister of State will represent India at the UN Security Council Ministerial Open Debate on Transitions under the agenda item United Nations peacekeeping operations to be convened by Irish Presidency on 8th of this month. She is expected to meet with senior UN leadership and interact with the Indian community in New York in celebration of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, commemoration of the 75th anniversary of India's independence. Moving further, on the last leg of his three-nation visit, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will visit Denmark today. During his visit to Denmark on 4th and 5th, External Affairs Minister will co-chair the 4th round of the Indo-Danish Joint Commission meeting along with Foreign Minister Jeppe Kofod. The Joint Commission meeting will undertake a comprehensive review of our bilateral cooperation under the Green Strategic Partnership, which was established during the virtual summit in September 2020. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will also call on Danish dignitaries. On the second leg of his visit, Dr. S. Jaishankar held bilateral talks with Foreign Minister of Croatia, Gordon Grlic Radman. This is the first visit by an Indian Foreign Minister in Croatia. The External Affairs Minister has tweeted, and I quote, "Fruitful talks with Croatia's Foreign Minister, detailed exchanges on full range of bilateral cooperation, regional and global issues. Committed to work with him to take our ties to a higher level." And Foreign Minister of Croatia Gordon Grlic Radman tweeted, this is what he tweeted, "Welcoming my colleague Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to Zagreb in what is the first visit by an Indian Foreign Minister to Croatia. Productive exchange of views on bilateral relations, EU-India relations and other topics of mutual interest," unquote. And in a statement by the External Affairs Minister at the media interaction following his meeting with Foreign Minister of Croatia, "As soon as I arrived here, the Prime Minister was kind enough to receive me. We had a very good meeting. We discussed our bilateral cooperation as also the situation in Afghanistan. I was very glad to hear the Croatian perspective on this. And to the Prime Minister, I conveyed the greetings of Prime Minister Modi and also the best wishes for the 30th anniversary of Croatia's independence. This is also the 750th year of India's independence, and I thank the Foreign Minister, my dear friend, for associating himself personally with these celebrations. Both in the call on the Prime Minister and in our discussions, we talked about how to increase our economic cooperation, and there are a lot of opportunities in the pharmaceutical sector, in the digital sector, in infrastructure, where we believe that Indian companies have found Croatia a very good platform to operate and invest in. There are already companies from Croatia operating in India. Some of them have secured some important contracts, for example, in the railway sector. We will certainly welcome more active efforts to cooperate in the defense sector after the agreement which is being concluded. Tourism is another important area. In fact, just as we finished our talks, we were talking about expanding air connectivity between our countries. I think on international issues, we share a lot of common positions and perspectives. It was very apparent in our discussion on Indo-Pacific, on our discussion on Afghanistan, on our resolve how to counter terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also called on Prime Minister of Croatia Andrej Plenković. He thanked Prime Minister Andrej for warmly receiving him in Zagreb. Both the leaders discussed opportunities to further expand bilateral cooperation, including in pharma, digital and infrastructure. The External Affairs Minister appreciated Croatian Prime Minister's insights on pressing global issues, especially Afghanistan. Right, my colleague Meghna Dev joins us on the phone line to give us more information on this. Good morning, Meghna. On the last leg of his three-nation visit, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will visit Denmark today, and the minister will co-chair the 4th round of Indo-Danish Joint Commission meeting.
Yes, Abhishek, this is the 4th round, as you said, of the Indo-Danish Joint Commission meeting. And we must not forget the earlier meeting that had happened, which was the 3rd round of, the Joint Commission meeting. There has been progress made on the major 8 joint working groups that are there, which are basically on renewable energy, environment, agriculture, animal husbandry, food processing, labor mobility, and science tech, sustainable and smart development, and shipping as well. So these are, the major joint working groups that are there, and both sides had, in the 3rd round also said that this cooperation and the progress should be continued. Besides that, also a digitization, a joint working group on digitization was also, recently constituted, and then it was said that the progress would be seen, in the other sectors as well. Besides that, we also know the pharmaceutical sector, healthcare sector needs close cooperation, and that's what, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, whenever he's on visits to countries, recently he has been reiterating the close coordination that is required for countries, especially during the pandemic. Besides that, when we see that, at the BLED Strategic Forum, External Affairs Minister had said, just a day before, that he has ensured that he just does not engage with the bigger member states of the European Union, but he also ensures that, there is a close cooperation with all the 27 member states, because he looks at it as a collective enterprise. And that's what, when he's visiting the Central European Union members, these member countries, it becomes extremely crucial at this point of time that he's discussing, several sectors. Trade is being discussed, pharmaceuticals is being discussed, and, different perspectives being discussed. And also when we know that the situation, continuously evolving situation in Afghanistan, still, seems a bit fluid situation there. The government formation is there, but besides that, the world, the community, international community has its own concern.
Right, Meghna. The minister also held bilateral talks with Foreign Minister of Croatia, and the meeting turned out to be fruitful, as EM tweeted also. Thank you, Meghna. Thank you for giving us your vital inputs. Moving on to our next story now. Assam witnessed Further improvement in the flood scenario, number of flood affected people coming down to 2,71,128. Number of villages reeling under water have also declined to below 1,200 under 53 revenue circles in 22 districts. However, Golaghat is having highest number of affected people, that is above 88,000, where pace of improvement seems to be slow as compared to Nalbari. In Nalbari, people affected has come down to 31,000 from earlier 1,10,000 in the last 24 hours. One more death has been reported from Golpara, which total death toll due to flood has gone up to 6 this season. Presently, there are 54 relief and distribution centers across the state, sheltering about 3,900 people. Right, Kamal Bora, my colleague, is joining us live from Guwahati. Kamal, Assam witnessed further improvement in the flood scenario in the second day, as we also read out in the story as per the daily bulletin. We want to know from you how is the current situation, and also tell us about the forecast.
Yes, Abhishek, as you have already said, the situation is improving fast. Actually, another day of relief, I must say, and significant positive changes have been witnessed across the state. But as far as the Golaghat district is concerned, yes, improvement is there also, but the pace is very slow as compared to Nalbari, where we saw 1,10,000 people the day before yesterday, but it came down to below 30,000 right now. So this is how overall scenario is improving, because there is no rain, and as you can see behind me, this is also a sunny day, another sunny day. There is no sign of rain fall that may come. So this is how things are happening, going on in a very good direction right now. And but yes, in some other districts like Walpara or Borpata in Lower Assam, yes, the situation is still a concern. But we are expecting that if rainfall doesn't take place as predicted by IMD, definitely there also we can see some fast changes, positive changes in the next 1 or 2 days.
Right, Kamal, we can see bright sunlight at the background where you are standing, but tell us about the areas that are still affected, and if you can tell us more on the rescue and relief operations too.
Yes, see, as far as the rescue and relief operation is concerned, there is no people in a maroon state. That's why we haven't seen, though the rescuer team, they are on standby. No evacuation needed to be conducted in any way. So that's why no evacuees, the number of evacuees were there in the flood report, flood bulletin provided by Assam Disaster Management Authority. So it's a good sign. Just before one day, 1,600 people were evacuated from various places, but yesterday no evacuation was have to be conducted because no people are in a maroon state. Situation is improving. Water level is receding everywhere. But yes, the people who are sheltering in the relief camps, 54 relief camps and distribution centers, so they are being provided all the facilities, whether it is food, whether it is medications, all are there. 17 medication teams are there across the state as per their requirements. So everything, the rescue and relief operations are going on in full swing, and government is trying hard to get relief to the people as much as possible.
Big relief, Kamal. The situation is slightly improving. Thank you, Kamal. Thank you for bringing us up to speed on the Assam flood situation. Moving on to our next story now. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles of the modern world. Doordarshan India is bringing you a glimpse of this glorious struggle daily. In today's episode, we will go through one of the most important days of the Indian freedom struggle, which is the initiation of the non-cooperation movement. We will also look into the major contributions made by V.O. Chidambaram Pillai. Let's take a look into the coming episode.
Today is one of the most important days in Indian freedom struggle. On this day in 1920, the non-cooperation movement was agreed upon against the British rule to demand Swaraj. It was Gandhiji's first pan-India satyagraha, and the movement arose from the widespread outcry in India over the massacre at Jallianwala Bagh at Amritsar in April 1919, when the British-led troops killed 700 Indians. That anger was also compounded by indignation at the British failure to take adequate action against those responsible, especially General Dyer, who had commanded the troops involved in the massacre. With non-violent methods to be deployed during the Satyagraha, Gandhiji led the movement from the front, during which Indians resigned their titles, boycotted government educational institutions, courts, government service, foreign goods and elections, and refused to pay taxes. The British were perhaps for the first time confronted with such a united Indian front and were visibly shaken. However, a number of violent outbreaks broke the momentum of the non-violent movement. And after an angry mob murdered police officers in Chori Chora in Uttar Pradesh state in February 1922, Gandhiji himself called off the movement.
Even though the non-cooperation movement could not achieve its goal of Swarajya, the movement was a massive encouragement to millions of Indians and marked the transition of Indian nationalism from a middle class to a mass basis. It colored the country with national zeal, as during this time, many Indian schools and colleges were opened and Indian-made goods became highly popular. The great South Indian patriot and freedom fighter, the Tamil helmsman Kapalotiye Tamilan V.O. Chidambaram Pillai or VOC was born on this day in 1872 in Tirunelveli district of Tamil Nadu. Since his young days, he was influenced by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and along with Subramanyam Siva and Subramanya Bharati, he was the prominent spokesperson for the cause of Swadeshi in the Madras Presidency. A renowned advocate, he was one of the earliest to start the Dharma Sangha Nisavuchillai for handloom industry and the Swadeshi stores for the sale of India-made things to the people. He played a lead role in many institutions like the National Godown, Madras Agro-Industrial Society Limited and the Desa Abhiman Sangam. The partition of Bengal in 1905 saw him taking a direct interest in the political struggle.
To challenge the domination of British in the shipping industry, he started the Swadeshi Steam Navigation Company on the 12th of November 1906. He purchased two steamships SS Galore and SS Lahore for the company and commenced regular services between Tuticorin and Colombo. His efforts to widen the base of the Swadeshi movement brought him into increasing conflict with the British Raj, and on 12 March 1908 he was arrested on charges of sedition and his barrister's license was revoked. The court imposed a sentence of 2 life imprisonments. However, VOC stepped out of prison in late December 1912 after a High Court appeal reduced his prison sentence. He died in late 1936 with the passion for freedom still raging in his mind till the last moment. An erudite scholar in Tamil, a prolific writer and a dauntless freedom fighter, his life is a story of resistance, strife, struggle, suffering and sacrifice for the national cause.
Story of V.O. Chidambaram Pillai. Moving on, an update on Hurricane Ida. The death toll rose to nearly 4 dozen on Friday as the East Coast cleaned up after the remnants of the Ida unleashed destructive tornadoes and record rain and floods. The toll was highest in New Jersey, where 25 people died due to heavy rains. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden toured neighborhoods in hurricane-hit Louisiana on Friday and promised residents that authorities are doing all they can to restore power after widespread outages. Biden made the comments while visiting La Place, a small community about 35 miles west of New Orleans that was devastated by flooding, downed trees and other storm damage.
Hurricane Ida is another reminder that we need to be prepared for the next hurricane, and superstorms are going to come, and they're going to come more frequently and more ferociously. I've been working closely with the governor and our colleagues in Congress in both parties on my Build Back Better plan that will modernize our roads, our bridges, our water system, sewers and drainage systems, and power grids and transmission lines to make sure they're more resilient.
Meanwhile, cleaning up process is underway after rising floodwaters from Ida trapped residents in their homes. In Conshohocken, firefighters were knocking door to door offering assistance while workers repaired power lines and damaged structures. Communities across Mississippi are also cleaning up the damage left behind from Hurricane Ida. Recovering efforts were also underway in Malika Hill, New Jersey, where a tornado ripped through, leaving 9 houses destroyed. Ida struck the Gulf Coast Sunday as a Category 4 storm and marched northward through the eastern United States, culminating in high-intensity rains and fast-rising floods in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut and New York. Let's now take a look at COVID-19 numbers from across the globe. More than 22 crore people have tested positive for COVID-19 across the world, while over 19.71 crore patients have recovered from the infection so far. The deadly virus has claimed lives of 45.67 lakh people worldwide, and the United States continues to witness a surge in new daily infections. More than 4.06 crore people have tested positive for the virus. Over 6.64 lakh people have died in the country due to COVID. And in sports, at the end of the second day's play of the 4th test match being played between India and England at Kennington Oval, India have scored 43 without any loss in their second innings, still trailing by 56 runs. England had scored 290 in their first innings in reply to India's total of 191. At the end of second day's play, Rohit Sharma was unbeaten on 20 of 56 deliveries with the help of 2 fours, and KL Rahul is at the crease on 22. Well, that's all we have in News on the Hour. Stay tuned for more news and updates. Namaskar.